right. Welcome. Oh, I want to make sure. Oh. Lance, can you hear me? Yeah, we're good. Okay. All right. Welcome to the first annual Pennfield Distinguished Awards Ceremony. On behalf of the Pennfield School Board of Education and the Pennfield Schools Educational Foundation, I'm excited to introduce to you the 2022-2023 Pennfield Distinguished Award recipients. Nominations were accepted last January from employees and community members and former alumni for 3 separate distinguished awards. The first category was the Alumni Exemplary Achievement Award for an alumni that has achieved a high level of success. The second category is the Distinguished Service Award for a staff or alumni who has positively impacted Pennfield schools and the community. And the third category is the Outstanding Volunteerism Award for an alumni, staff, or community member who has demonstrated significant volunteerism at Pennfield schools, whose service has also positively impacted the district. We received many worthy nominations, and a committee of members from the Educational Foundation, the Board of Education, the administration, and staff scored the applications with a standard rubric evaluating the outlined success criteria in the application. Those results were compiled, and as a result, these awards are being presented today to the following people. Each award recipient will be introduced by a fellow Panther who will explain why they nominated them and will award a plaque in recognition to the person receiving the award. We also want to make sure that we give the individuals that are receiving the award the opportunity to talk about the impact of their contributions to the Pennfield Schools community. Additionally, each of our award recipients will receive a plaque for their own collection of awards, because we feel that this is a pretty exciting opportunity, and we will be establishing a wall here at the high school that is for the distinguished awards, where we'll hang those plaques as well for each of the recipients. So this will be the first group, and we'll start with another launch of the second annual Distinguished Alumni Awards after this holiday season in January. So without further ado, we're going to get started with our first award, which is for the Alumni Exemplary Achievement Award. And Mr. Michael DeRider will introduce this year's recipient, Lance Barker.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you were all appreciative that I'm here, because I had the most catastrophic wardrobe malfunction out there that required an hour or so's worth of fix. So, my name is Michael DeRider. I'm the District Ombudsman for Pennfield, and I have the distinct pleasure of introducing our first recipient tonight for the Pennfield Alumni Exemplary Achievement Award. Mr. Lance Barber is a 1991 graduate of Pennfield. During Lance's freshman year at Pennfield, he auditioned for director Amy Rosa and was cast in the play Rebel Without a Cause. He eventually became president of the Drama Club and performed in every production through his senior year. Some of his most memorable shows included Bye Bye Birdie, Guys and Dolls, and The Outsiders. Lance went on to receive an associate degree from KCC in theater arts. He was the first recipient of the Al Brown Memorial Scholarship Fund for the Performing Arts. He performed numerous shows there, including the Miss Firecracker Contest, Peter Pan, The Odd Couple, and Jesus Christ Superstar. When I asked Lance what he considered his big break to be, his response to me was, though short-lived, I consider my role in the HBO series The Comeback with Lisa Kudrow from Friends to be my big break. Despite the fact that it was not broadly popular, it was revered by those inside the showbiz industry and begat most of my opportunities and work that followed. But I guess the real breakout role that set me on a wonderful career path, which I am very proud of, was as Moose in the Pennfield High School production of Rebel Without a Cause. My introduction to the performing arts at Pennfield established my career trajectory, and I am deeply and eternally grateful for that. Lance has been on numerous TV shows, but we all know Mr. Lance is the lovable blue-collar dad, George Cooper, from the hit show Young Sheldon, where he captivates his audiences every week. playing that endearing role. He has cemented himself as one of the greatest TV dads to ever grace the television screen, right up there with the likes of Lord Cleaver, Carl Winslow, Cliff Huxtable, Homer Simpson, and Al Bundy. In the process of getting around for these awards, it was absolutely crazy how many people I've talked to and heard from speak in excitement and appreciation of Mr. Barber receiving this honor. Lance is so well liked through our school family. I know many people who either went to school with Lance or were his close friends, and everybody tells the same story. Humble, friendly, polite, and a Panther through and through. On a personal note, I know about Lance through my mother. She was undeniably his biggest fan. She tuned in faithfully every week to watch Lance and recorded each episode so she could watch him over and over. I'm 43 years old and my mother passed away last year. But since the year before I was born, she worked continuously at the only nonprofit living center in the state of Michigan, located right here in Battle Creek. Without fanfare or being wishful of recognition, Lance has donated his time, effort, and money to that living center. He has been a godsend to the residents there, and my mom always said he was truly the greatest example of a good and decent human being, and she would be so proud that he is receiving this award and that I would be the one introducing him. Lance is the epitome of what a Pennfield graduate exemplifies. There is no better candidate for this award, and I am humbled, blessed, and grateful to introduce Lance Barber as our inaugural Pennfield Alumni Exemplary Achievement Award winner.
Lance, I don't know how you follow that, but it's your opportunity to share some words with us. Yeah, I'm trying to turn it up. Let's see. All right, let's give this. Now we got you.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. That was very nice. I love hearing that about your mother. I love her. And I appreciate you saying those things. And thank you, everybody. It's truly an honor. And I regret not being here in person today. I wish I could share this with you all in person, but such is life. Recently returned from the Midwest with COVID in tow. And I was hoping that I could be there, but last night I have to go back to work this week. And I'm not. I would have been able to join you, but I am grateful to be going back to work after such a long stint out, most recently. And I like hearing that everyone is appreciative of this role that I'm doing now because I'm so proud of it and grateful for it. I've been listening to things that were highlighted. This certainly is one. It's kind of perhaps a pinnacle on my long journey to have some of this, to be a part of a show like this. And so it makes me feel terrific to know that anyone, especially my family back home, is our fans and supportive of my whole career and certainly this show. So I have friends there today. I just saw them to be able to give them hugs and see some of the other folks that you're honoring today who some of what you taught me when I was in elementary. So I am proud to be in the company of everyone there as well, and to be the first recipient of this award, I believe. To know that I'll be in the halls of Pennfield, remember this way, is it's just I don't know, it's a phenomenal feeling. Was recently home to do a show at the Barton Theater, and just to know how much support I have in the place that I came up and get you started in this career means the world to me. It really is, without all these quote-unquote humble beginnings, without the support and the opportunities that I had through school and through the arts in Battle Creek, I never would have been where I am now. So I'm grateful and proud for this. So surely I've gotten to do, I haven't really been able to have this journey that I've had without those beginnings. And so thank you all.
Thank you very much, Lance, for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. And We'll be sure that we get your plaque in the mail to you. And I wish you all the best and can't wait to see a new season of your show.
Me too. And let me just ask this, when I go home, I'd like to see that plaque on the wall and visit everyone there next time I'm in Battle Creek.
We would love that.
I will be in touch to do so, so I look forward to that. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Lance. Our second award that we are awarding tonight is for the Distinguished Service Award to Jean Parker. And Jean will be introduced by Becky Curtis and Erin Andrews.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to start by welcoming those that have gathered with us tonight to celebrate some awesome humans, and especially to celebrate an extraordinary person who has dedicated decades of her life to the betterment of our community. Jean Parker has made a huge impact through her commitment and her acts of service, and it's really weird using your first name. My first memory of Mrs. Parker dates back to 1989. And those dreaded head lice checks. Why did it always seem that you came to the classrooms on the days that my mom decided to braid my hair? Yours was the first principal's office I was deservingly ever sent to. And I wish I could say that it was the last. Mrs. Parker embodies this Shakespearean quote, "Though she be little, she is fierce. She was and always will be a force to be reckoned with." Her passion for education and genuine concern for the well-being of students, staff, and families alike have left an unforgettable mark on the hearts of all who have had the privilege to know her. Her loyalty to our community has centered on families and children for as long as I can remember. She was once quoted in our Battle Creek Inquirer saying, "Pennfield students are our future and our responsibility," and isn't that the truth? Mrs. Parker's service went beyond the walls of the school, extending her impact into the broader community by working with committees that continue to enrich the lives of our educators, students, and our families alike. Her vision of education goes beyond textbooks and beyond curriculums, and it encompasses the development of individuals who go on to contribute positively to our society. Individuals like how many of you out here? Turn around, please. Thank you for your unwavering dedication, your compassionate leadership, and the enduring legacy that you leave behind. You, as well as my favorite first grade teacher, are the main reason that I wanted to be a teacher when I grew up. Thank you for all you have done and continue to do to help raise good humans.
Jean Parker, the GOAT, the institution, the heart of Pennfield. I didn't come to Pennfield until 6th grade. We moved in down the street and I would hear how much all my friends loved Mrs. Parker, Lance being one of them. And they all loved going to Purdy because of her. She was their teacher at the time and I was jealous. I never experienced anything like that in my elementary years. The buses would park outside of Purdy every single day, and I would see this woman outside greeting buses each and every morning. And I remember thinking, I wish she would have been my teacher. Fast forward 20 years, I had the pleasure of sending my kids to Purdy. Mrs. Parker was my children's principal. I watched her treat each one of those students who entered the building as her own. She gave them hugs. She knew each and every family who attended Purdy. She never missed an open house, a funeral, a celebration, and she still does it. In 2002, Jean Parker became my principal. I could not believe I was working for Mrs. Parker. My first year of teaching, my grandma died, and she came into the room to tell me the news and drove me home. I didn't have to arrange for a sub because she'd already done so for the entire week. She then drove my children home after school and took them to McDonald's. I felt so loved and special. It was later that I realized Mrs. Parker would do that for anyone. Mrs. Parker was tough. She may have reamed with us a few times, well deserved. But we all know she had her backs with parents in the community. I am the one who is honored to still call this lady my lifelong friend. We will always be Pennfield family. I couldn't think of a better recipient for this reward. I'm sure many of you feel the same way.
It's your turn.
And she looks exactly the same.
Oh my God.
Oh, I don't know who they were talking about. It can't be this person anyhow. used to say I was just a little pea in the pod, and it was all of these people that made things happen. Ironically tonight that you were honoring Lance, because Lance was in my 4th grade classroom at Purdy, I think in one of the last classes that I had before I went into administration. So it was a treat and what an honor to be honored with one of your students. Yes, I'm going to have to comment on the headlights now. That Erin said that. When I was writing some comments, I thought maybe I would put that in that button now. But now that she did, I will. Because after vacation was always a good time to get in there and really check kids, because when they'd been home, like who knew what was going to be coming back with them. So instead of trying to do, and we didn't have school nurses at that time, and so I usually just went in and did a classroom. And kind of, I always had clean hands, did a couple heads, then I could wash my hands and periodically. We tried to do it so that we didn't embarrass anybody, and it was just, they kind of really got used to it. But it really became kind of a joke because they would get in, and all of a sudden I would hear them giggling. And I said, no, don't do that, you're disrupting, because I didn't want to disrupt class. I just kind of went down the rows and did my thing. Well, then they told me, they said, it tickles. It tickles. So anyhow, that's my headlight story. Thanks there. Well, thank you. I truly am overwhelmed. I thank Becky and Erin for the nomination, the Distinguished Service Award Committee, Superintendent Limmer, and the Pennfield Schools Board of Education. I was totally surprised, truly overwhelmed, and very humble when I received the email telling me of this award. And I still feel very humble when I think of this community. I was asked to share my experience with Pennfield Schools. Well, that was a huge assignment for me, because where do I begin? What do I share? It's too many stories to share during this time. First of all, I'm a Pennfield resident and have been for over 50 years. I have 2 daughters who are Pennfield students and graduates. Both were unable to be here this evening. Georgianne, the oldest, lives in Kentucky, and Kim, the youngest, out in Washington State. So I drafted Cindy Kerner, my dear friend, to be family tonight. But Cindy was our school secretary, now would be an administrative assistant at Purdy. And Cindy and I worked together 18 years. And so we were in offices side by side. When we did construction, we were kind of what was in the old library at Purdy, and we were practically nose to nose. So anyhow, thank you, Cindy, for coming with me tonight. We had just moved to Battle Creek in July 1967 as a family. My teaching experience at that time was 3 years in Ohio and 1 year in Ann Arbor, teaching kindergarten and 1st grade. I had an interview with Russ Newell, superintendent of Pennfield Schools, and was offered a contract at that time. Little did I know or imagine that 40 years later, I would retire from the Pennfield School District. Through those years, I had the opportunity to work with superintendents Harold Kriegmer, Bob Grimes, and Dale Kimball, who provided tremendous support. Then I was a classroom teacher in the district for 15 and a half years, teaching 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade at Purdy, 3rd grade at Polson, and subbing for a semester in all of the elementary buildings. I really enjoyed the classroom and loved working with my students. There was never a dull day in the classroom, and the kids were amazing. I always felt when making decisions that I needed to do what was best for kids. It was a difficult decision when a new opportunity came up to move into administration. I would be leaving the classroom where I worked directly with students. Well then, as a principal, I felt I could better advocate for students. I just continued being able to work with the best teachers and staff. My first 8 years of being a principal, I had 2 buildings, of which our elementary principals did at that time. My buildings were North Pennfield and Purdy. Thanks to school secretaries, that arrangement worked. As a district, through our school improvement process, our elementaries and middle schools became North Central accredited, and that specified 1 principal per building. But when I had the 2 buildings, I had commented and worked with the Pennfield police and said, hey, if you see me speeding down East Avenue, just wave to me because you know there's a crisis in the direction I'm heading at that building. So life then became less hectic with only having 1 building, and that was now Purdy. We used to have a poster on the wall in the building that had 4 large gears on it, labeled administration, teachers, parents, and students. The caption was, all working together equals the best results. That was such a good reminder for all of us. The one thing that really stands out through the years is the people that I have been privileged to work with as colleagues, administration, parents, and students in the district. I'm rather partial to all that have been on my staff and team. They are no longer staff, they are family. And for our students, once they are our kids, they are always our kids. To make things happen, you need people. And that is what has made Pennfield an outstanding school district. Teachers are amazing people as they wear so many hats. Our teachers and staff have always gone the extra mile. They have made learning the challenge that was needed, but yet an enjoyable and fun learning environment based on what was truly best for kids. At Purdy, our hope was to nurture lifelong learners. We weren't perfect. We learned from our challenges and opportunities that we could come up with workable solutions, collaborating and working together. We also had behavioral expectations, which focused on respect. We as a staff established good parent relationships. Parents were extremely supportive of our school activities, volunteering, attending functions, participating in fundraisers, raising money for a new playground, and supporting our district villages. Many learning opportunities took place with our author visits, science and art fairs, special assemblies, concerts, field trips, holiday programs, Christmas sings, enrichment opportunities, and many more. During those years, we could share hugs with our early elementary kids. And to this day, when you meet those kids, all grown up, they always reach out and share a big hug. And you all know, there's nothing better than a genuine hug. So that, that just says the love that has been in this district. I do have a little story just to share here before I close. But one year at Christmas time, and with Christmas coming, I had a teacher who came into the office and said, Jean, I need to talk with you. They were making ornaments in their classroom. And this little guy said to his teacher, I don't want to make an ornament because I'm not going to have a tree at home. And there's not going to be Christmas at my house. His mom and he had that discussion. So I said to her, okay, we'll see what we can do. So after school, we had a meeting with teachers and with staff. What can we do about this? Well, in the meantime, I had called his mom, and she collaborated with me. The story was true. There just wasn't money. There was only money for food, and that was it this holiday. So anyhow, we got together, and when you talk about community, I called the Boy Scouts who had their Christmas trees down where they do now, and said, can you give us a tree? They could. So they put a stand on it, and they delivered it to that home. We knew the Lions Club was doing food, so they would have food. So then we talked about it, and okay, we all got a project to do. We found out also what the children wanted from Santa. So staff, bless their hearts, we all took shopping. I was kind of in charge of getting decorations, so they would have a tree, their decorations for their tree. And we got everything together so that that child had all the things that he wanted from Santa. The family had a Christmas tree with decorations, they had food, and they had an opportunity to share the love of family and what Christmas and holiday was really all about. But that was just one example in our party building. But I know that that happened throughout the district, that people were always doing and caring for kids and caring for families. So the support of this community has been amazing through my years, totally. So it is a privilege to have the opportunity to pay it forward now as a retiree, being involved in my church, community organizations and projects, Pennfield schools, and all its amazing people. Have a very special place to my heart. Always will. I have been truly blessed through my years, and never did I imagine that this was what it was going to be, but it has been. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you very much. Our third award is the Outstanding Volunteerism Award for Jared Kirtley. I'd like to introduce Lisa Kirtley to come up and introduce him.
Hello. So my name is Lisa Kirtley, and in the community, Pennfield community, I'm known by a few different titles. I'm a Pennfield alumni, I'm a Pennfield parent, I'm a Pennfield employee, but most importantly tonight, I just get to be Jared Kirtley's wife. Jared's, he was nominated for this award because of all of the hard work that he put in alongside the bond committee in 2021. One of Jared's favorite sayings in life is, you can preach a better sermon with your actions than with your words. This is something that he lives by. He is a man of action, and he knows that the best way to rally the troops is to be seen by them. He worked tirelessly for months with multiple committees, speaking at monthly school board meetings, having weekly and sometimes more than once a week, meet and greets at local businesses to talk with community members and to answer any questions that they had. We spent more than one Saturday delivering yard signs around the community to people that wanted them but couldn't come get them. He made it a priority to get bond information into as many hands as possible because he believes in Pennfield. No, he was not the only one that was involved in getting the bond passed, but he played a huge part in getting the community to finally invest in our school system after 16 years. Even with leaky roofs, no air conditioning, or simply just not having enough rooms in our buildings, the last two bond attempts had still failed by a mere 16 and 35 votes. In 2021, the bond passed by 301 votes. Not only did the amount of yes votes increase, but the amount of no votes decreased. This was largely thanks to Jared and his many volunteer hours that were spent away from our home and our family for the betterment of Pennfield School District. Even when he's not in the public eye, Jared is always more than willing to volunteer in various places around the school district. Whether he's running a station at Field Day, or he's being a mystery reader at March's Reading Month. He might be popping popcorn for a building that his children don't even attend anymore. They just didn't have enough volunteers, so he stepped in and went and helped. He might be on a field trip, or he could be chaperoning fifth grade dances with me and monitoring the bathrooms. You can always find him volunteering his time somewhere around the district. Jared has such a love for Pennfield schools, and he makes sure that he shows it with his actions and not just his words. So it is my great honor to introduce this year's recipient of the Outstanding Volunteerism Award, Jared.
Well, I don't know how I'm going to follow any of this up, being the last person to go, but I will start with thank you to the nominating committee, to the school board, to the Education Foundation, and all of you in the room. The work that we did wasn't about me or really the district. It was about the people here, that we were able to deliver something that we badly needed in this district, that we needed to support more than just infrastructure or anything else. It was, listening to Aaron and Becky talk about Mrs. Parker, it's the future. We needed to invest in our future. When I looked at my kids and I looked at my wife and the struggles they went in the buildings and everything else and said, we're going to do this. And through a significant, tumultuous time, not only in the community, coming in and out of the pandemic and struggle with and strife within the district, we decided that we wanted to move forward with this. And we got to September, and I distinctly remember the conversation. We weren't sure we were going to pull it off. We really weren't sure if it was going to happen. And we were sitting on a couple of calls, and we had a point with CSM and King Scott, architect and construction company at the time, and said, they didn't know if we could do it. And we all sat there and kind of just were trying to figure it out. And I realized everyone was looking at me. I was trying to figure out why everybody was looking at me. And then I realized in that moment, no one else wanted to say either yes or no to this. And I was going to have to be the person that either pushed it forward or didn't. And I didn't want to. I didn't want to be that person. But knowing that my kids and my wife needed more in this district than what we had, I said, we'll do it. And it was in that moment that I dove headfirst into it, not because I necessarily wanted to, but because it just felt like the right thing to do. So knowing all of the stories from Lance and from Mrs. Parker and everybody else who shared, it's the district that matters. It's the community that's here. And this was our chance to make a mark, not for accolades or the pat on the back or anything else, but for the future, for our children, for my kids, and anybody else's children that want to come through the district. And we did it. We pulled it off. Lots of signs, lots of Saturdays driving around, as Lisa mentioned. Lots of phone calls and repeated phrases over and over again. When we get to November, and we pulled it off. And I took a breath the night of the election. We were all sitting in McGonagall celebrating. And I realized in that moment that we had made a move that was going to set this district on a path forward in a positive way that maybe hadn't been seen in a long time. And I was proud to be a part of that. I continue to be a part of that. I'm perfectly happy volunteering anywhere, not because I want to or it feels like I should, but because there's people that matter more than me in this district. And it's our students and our kids and our families. So while I'm honored to accept this award, I would be bereft if I didn't say and accept this on behalf of the nominating committee at the time. Bill Simons in particular, who I worked hand in hand with, who was the partner that I needed in that time to continue to push forward. So I just want to, it's been a number of years now. It's odd because for a lot of people, a lot of this is just coming to fruition, right? We're seeing the athletic complex. We're seeing all these things in the last few months, but really it's been 3 long years already of trying to get to where we are. So I thank the committee from then. Now I thank everybody else, and just know that we're not done, right? We have more work to do. We have more bond work to do. We can't let this be the end of this process. It starts over. I know they don't want to hear me say that it starts over, but it does, because we have to do it again. We have to make sure that we continue to provide for the community in the future. So again, thank you. Thank you to my wife. It means a lot to hear those words. So thank you to everybody. I appreciate it, and we'll absolutely put this on my desk and be proud of it. So thank you.
In closing, I would like to thank Lance, Jean, and Jared for the amazing contributions that you've made to the Pennfield schools and community at large. I'm reminded by a favorite quote from Margaret Mead that a small group of thoughtful people could change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Their sense of service to the community is abundantly evident and deeply appreciated. These individuals are reflective of what it means to be a Panther, and what we hope to instill in each and every one of our students. Their contributions have and will continue to help positively impact Panthers for years to come, and they truly embody the true spirit of learn, grow, and lead. And I thank each and every one of you for coming out today to support them and acknowledge everything they've done for our community as well. Thank you.
Access Vision. Your voice, your community.